Hi, I'm Biana Kovic, and I'm producer and the director of Virtuoso. I started the work on the film in September of 2004, and we have filmed the lessons with Matty in March of 2006. It took me about a year and a half to find Matty. We filmed only on Thursdays, and there were 5 Thursdays in March of 2006. And what we are looking at, it's actually Matty drawing a cello, her first lesson. And this is the voice of Dr. Lafusso, one of our experts. She's a geriatrics specialist. And the picture of cello that Matty did. This is Matty's building, which is on 88th and 2nd Ave, and this is Matty. And what you're seeing in the back is an artwork. Matty is actually an amazing artist, and you see pictures that she made of her niece and a vase. And she's actually talking to a friend of hers who's in the hospital. This is the first day of shoot.
No, I'm just telling you the news. This is something new.
Here's the title. Actually, one of my students gave me a name for the film. I told him I'm going to call it Never Too Late, but he said it should be Virtuoso, and he was right. This is actually the second week or the second day of shoot. What happened when we did the first day, we had some problem with the sound and the picture. So I asked Matty to repeat the sitting and holding the cello. And she's doing it right now. It's the second week.
My name is Matty. I'm 89 years old, and I'm just beginning to learn to play the cello. It's a challenge, and I always
And she's going to now ask me, when do we move on?
I feel that
Here goes Matty.
life is much more interesting when you do things. First line.
This is the same day, second day of shoot, or the second Thursday in March of 2006. And Matty is learning how to read the music in front of the camera. She has never done it. And if you see, I put the cello on one side, the stand on the next side. I just want to be sure that people understand this is a music lesson.
The C we draw some lines for the C.
It's like an extra line.
We draw 2 extra lines.
Right.
A,
D, G.
And this is me a year ago. And Matty.
C,
She was 89.
D, A.
I don't think I had a specific.
This is the voice of Anne Wigglesworth. She was one of our interviewers. What I did after I was done with Matty, around in June I put an ad around the city saying that I was looking for women who were learning to play the cello later and in their later years, and she was one of the people we interviewed. And I really liked what she had to say about it, so I went with her interview. I think she was about 60, 62 when she started. I'm not really sure. Here is Matty, the first day of shoot, and she's actually talking to me. She's teasing me. This is what I do when I tell people that they should sit tall. She's doing it to me now.
You're kidding me. He says it's too big a
This is actually the third week of the shoot, or the third day of the shoot. And if you look at me, I'm actually holding a bow, because at this point Matty is bowing. She knows how to use the bow.
Then my nieces and my nephews,
And I'm waiting for her to sit.
That gave me encouragement.
And I'm going to hand her the bow after that.
But if everybody
Of course, we're not going to see
you
that.
won't make it, I probably would decide that I shouldn't do it. But encouragement is a wonderful thing, and that boosts you to do other things.
Now we're going to pluck.
The first day of shoot, or the first Thursday, right after she had drawn the cello, we actually had her sit and learn how to pluck.
And we're going to use your right hand to pluck. We're going to place the thumb where this sticker is.
And she's actually learning in front of the camera.
Pointer to pluck with.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Just the one finger.
Just the one finger.
Oh, nice.
Older adults.
And this is one of our second, actually, this is our second expert. It's Dr. Conchetta Tomeno. She's an amazing music therapist up in Faith Abrams Hospital in the Bronx. And I was very lucky to have her in the film. Here is the second day, or the second week of cello lessons, and Matty is writing the notes on her own.
G and C. All right, I got it.
And this is actually the 4th week or the 4th day of cello lessons. And if you look at very carefully at the stand in front of Matty, there are 2 bows, because at this point she actually can play a song. But I actually had her go back and plug the song before she was going to bow the song.
That's it.
Because everything was happening so quickly, I had to always go back to the basics. And that's what you do in music, you always go back to the basics. And here she is plucking the song that she can easily play at this point. I should also say that in the back, it's also Matty's artwork.
And now comes the 4.
And all lessons were taking place in her studio on 88th and 2nd Avenue.
Who engage in exercise activity
Except the last lesson, which was in Yonkers. This is actually Dr. Lofaso. We heard her voice at the beginning of the film. She's a geriatric specialist.
Simple weight training using exercise bands, walking, swimming, water aerobics.
She's at the New York Presbyterian Hospital. I think it's 63rd in York Avenue in Manhattan.
Very, very strenuous.
And this is the 3rd week, or the 3rd day of the shoot. And this is actually the 1st week, so what I'm doing, I'm using different bow holds from different weeks.
By my side. Oh. See, but also I'm creating resistance against the bow.
The 2nd week, or the 2nd day of shoot.
The second one under. You got it. Now from that, not yet, isn't it? I'm going to bring the bow up. Oh. And you're going to place it. That's it.
The 3rd week, going back to what we saw before. And at this point, she is actually bowing, but I just always have her, as I said before, she always goes back to the basics. It's very good
Just to keep it
for her
balanced.
to just refresh.
See how we want to keep the tip balanced so it doesn't go like this?
Yeah.
But you keep it straight.
Okay. I didn't know the purpose. In order to do my cello practicing.
And here's Matty talking. We actually had done the interview with her in the 4th week. So this is the 4th week, and this is actually the 3rd week. This happened before the bow hold, which we saw a moment ago. And what happened, I was actually looking for the footage, and I realized that I didn't have Matty practice on her own, so I asked her to do it, and she was pretty nervous. And in the back, if you look at very carefully, you're going to see her artwork as well. She also does, there's a lot of sculptures in the back and paintings that she did. And she kept asking me, should I talk or should I keep quiet? How do you practice, Biana? And I said, well, whatever you do, it's fine. So here's Matty talking and practicing.
I don't know if I'm making good sound or not, but I'm going to try it again. Open, and then close. That's better. Then going back. Open, and then go to the last one.
And actually, she can do more than open and closed, but she wanted to do that. And this is actually part of the lesson that happened after her practice, and she's actually talking to me. She was a little bit, after she had done her practice, she was a little bit discouraged, so I had her say out loud when she went to do it. You can look, she just looked at me for a second, because I'm actually standing very close to her.
Position of the D, and back to D again.
And of course, a little bit frustrated. Here's the 4th week, and again, going back to the 4th week of her plucking and doing her own practice as we are taping it. And of course, she can do the whole song with the bow. But she felt more comfortable to pluck. I have to say, she was pretty amazing. We actually started at 9 a.m. and we would go all the way up to 4 or 5 p.m. lesson after lesson. So Matty had a great focus. Again, and talking about her own experience.
Because I noticed that my hands feel better.
And here's the bowing. This is actually the 3rd week, or the 3rd day of the shoot. And if you remember her doing the bow, maneuvering the bow up in the air, this comes actually after that. We actually had a bowing lesson.
Music brings so much to people.
And Dr. Tomeno again.
Especially to people who are
Here's Matty in her 3rd
how we
week.
respond to music
Two
has
beautiful ways in the back. She actually made
sense
it
of
herself. She really
rhythm
liked that.
and
She wanted
sense
always to be in the
of
shot.
of sound and what the sound does to us for our feelings, our emotions, our just way of looking at the world.
And the fourth week, her doing the song, part of the song.
No chord.
So what is it?
This is actually the last week in her studio, because the fifth week we actually went to Yonkers, to her home in Yonkers. So this is the last lesson in her studio apartment on 88th and 2nd Avenue.
Right, no, this guy's close. That's better.
I'm doing it over.
Nice job.
Feel much
She's
better
actually answering my
since I've
question. I
been
asked her how
more
she felt
right,
about the whole
and,
4
I
weeks
have to
experience.
concentrate a little
She's getting very
more
technical here, talking
and
about the
just
cello,
watch my fingers here.
which is pretty
and the
amazing,
bowl
because most
has
people,
to
at,
be
4
here,
weeks,
and
it's a
at an
short time.
angle,
And actually, at this point, she had about 20 lessons with me, 4 on the camera, and the rest of it was off the camera. But it's pretty amazing that she has a very good sense and understanding how to do it. And this is the first week, me holding the cello. She's drawing the cello in the back. You actually, if you look very carefully, there is my PA, Dorian Stone.
But I would add to
He was
that,
with me throughout
having
all
a
the shoots.
passion. Have something
Dr.
that
LaFosse's
excites
voice,
you,
and here's Matty in
a
her
reason
first
to
week.
get up, something that you can't wait to do, and it can be as simple as cooking, playing bridge, playing an instrument.
And here
All
we
of
are
those
coming
things
back from
really,
Yonkers
really
in a
help
cab,
people do well into their older years.
and the cello. We're sitting in the back.
Music is always there.
And
If it weren't
these
for
actually
the
bridges I saw when we were going to Yonkers, I really fell in love with them. And I said to Karen, who was my DP, I said, you have to take, you can't forget, you have to have them on camera. And she did it on our way back. This is actually Maddie's backyard. And the Laughing Buddha statue, she loved that so much. She asked me actually to sit next to it and play. And I said, well, we had a very bad sun problem. So I said, I can put you to sit a little bit further away from it. So we did
And
that.
this is what I do throughout life.
And
as my
here's
husband
her
told me to
interview,
do.
last
He says,
interview with
every
Matty
day is an
in her
experience.
home in Yonkers.
And every day you can start learning, and I follow through.
The same building we saw at the beginning, 88th and 2nd Ave, Maddie's building, and she's actually walking away from the cab. We came back from Yonkers, and you're gonna see her turn and wait for me, because I'm actually walking behind her. She's waiting. And yes, it is. It took us a month to shot Maddie's lessons. All other interviews with experts and Anne were shot much later, but the lesson part was shot in March of 2006. And what actually had me do this film is that I read in the newspaper that most people die with music in their heart, and certainly was for the people that I spoke to. Whenever I would say I would teach adults, they would always say, oh my gosh, I always wanted to do this and that. And this film certainly is not about how to get to Carnegie Hall in '89, but it's about allowing yourself to immerse in experiments that bring you very rich experiences. And I hope that people will find this film is, inspiring, so that they can allow themselves to be immersed in experiments that they always had a dream about. And I hope that you enjoy this audio commentary. Here's Matty talking to me.
The other cup, which has a happy face. That's all right.
Thank you for listening.